Bolivaraka boxing fans and talofa to all my Samoan brothers and sisters. This video is going to be dedicated to another one of my favorite fighters of all time. And you know this one's coming. David, the Tua man, the Terminator, Tua. I've been seeing a lot of recent interviews and videos of David Tua looking like an absolute beast in his training at the moment. You know, there's a bit of talk of whether he'll come back for an exhibition fight, whether he'll come back for a fight out of retirement, etc. But he is looking so fit and strong and just absolutely amazing in the gym at the moment. And, you know, for those of you who have sort of just started watching boxing recently, go and check out, if you haven't already, David Tua. David Tua had one of the best chins you will ever see in the heavyweight division. He was never knocked out. He was only dropped once in all of his 50 plus fights, and that was towards the end of his career, and that was against a fighter in his prime he probably would have knocked out in one round. David Tua knocked out 5 world champions that either went on to become world champions or were former world champions. A couple of those were, 3 of those of memory, was Michael Moorer, who, for those of you who don't know, Michael Moorer actually beat Evander Holyfield first time to sort of give him, I think it was his first loss. David Tua beat Hasim Rahman, who went on to knock out Lennox Lewis the first time they fought. And then he also beat John Ruiz, who was a world heavyweight champion, who would go on to become champion, was later beat by Roy Jones Jr. But David Tua, just an incredible fighter. He had, and I mentioned this on an earlier Ryan Garcia video, he had probably the best left hook I've ever seen until Ryan Garcia's come along. What I love about Ryan Garcia's left hook is the speed in which it comes in. David Tua had that at heavyweight as well. But David Tua's left hook had not only speed, but immense power. I'm talking God level power. And Ryan Garcia's got probably, what shall we say, angelic power. So, but yeah, David Tua, just an incredible fighter. Probably one of the greatest fighters to have never been a world champion. In my opinion, this is probably going to disappoint a few people, but I think a far better fighter than Joseph Parker. Remember, David Tua was also Olympic bronze medalist as well. He was an Olympian. Joe never made it to the Olympics. And Joe didn't quite have the opportunities. David never had the opportunities that Joe had later on. And Joe was very smart, good parents, good management. He just wasn't managed properly, and what they did to him was just shameful, really. He's got his own boxing gym now. He's doing really well. He's inspiring, training a lot of young fighters, and he's doing his thing. And I'd love to see David Tua come back. Depending on what happens between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, if Mike Tyson comes out and knocks out Jake Paul, maybe that's a fight that they'll make, because we always wanted to see that fight, Tua versus Tyson. And I think Tua would have knocked out Mike Tyson. Pre Mike Tyson coming out of jail, the Mike Tyson that came out of jail didn't have Tuamantor in his corner. That Mike Tyson, I think, gets knocked out, el-sparkoed on the floor by David Tua. But I think 1980s Mike Tyson, Kid Dynamite Mike Tyson, who was with Tuamantor, I think he would have outboxed David Tua to a decision, quite a unanimous decision, David Tua wouldn't have gotten knocked out though. I think it was impossible to knock out David Tua. I just think he's just incredible, man. He is just, yeah, such an inspiration, but such a nice guy. One of my favorite memories of him, I had two memories of him. The first one was him obviously knocking out Hasim Rahman. I love that. Oh, so many memories. But what I really loved was the one in 2008, the fight of the century against Shane Cameron, because Shane Cameron was talking a lot of crap, and David Tua just came out and did an absolute demolition job to the point where I actually feared for Shane Cameron's life, the amount of punches he was getting, receiving. And the other one was when he fought Lennox Lewis. I was so proud and happy of that moment. Although he lost, because Lennox Lewis was just an incredible fighter, and he knew how to use his reach, his advantages, his size, ring IQ, also an Olympian, gold medalist. And, but for, not to forget, so David Tua never got knocked out by Lennox Lewis. Mike Tyson got knocked out. Many people got knocked out by the Lion, Lennox Lewis. But David Tua, he fought right to the end. And I think there was a moment in there where we saw Tua was a bit hurt, but he just came back. So, yeah. I wanted to talk about David Tua and give him some props, give him some flowers, because I've been seeing some videos of him. I saw an interview of him, and, they were asking him, just the question like, so how long would it take to knock out Jake Paul? What round would you knock Jake Paul out in? And he could have come out and said, no, I'll just knock him out in one round. And he was just like, what round do you think I'll knock him out in? And the interview was like, probably round 1, round 2. He's like, well, then that's what it will be. He was so humble, he wouldn't even say which round he would want to knock Jake Paul out in. And I think, to be honest, I would see him as a much better chance at this stage, of his career, the way he's looking, than Mike Tyson. Because Mike Tyson's been through a lot, not just physically but mentally, and he's had to face a lot. And he's, the drugs, the alcohol, and all that stuff that Tyson has had to also battle. David Tua hasn't had to battle that as much. I don't think he's had those type of issues. He's had other issues like financial issues and obviously weight issues. Mike Tyson has always stayed in relatively good shape, but inside, he's had a lot of problems, and mentally as well. So, but let me know your thoughts. Like David Tua, what would you like to see him do? Would you like to see a bit of a comeback? Because I would. Because, man, the Terminator, the Tua man, he is an incredible champion in my eyes, and an incredible human being. So, as always, please leave a comment. What would you like to see David Tua do? Would you like to see him in one more fight for the fans? Drop a like, drop a comment. Please share and subscribe. And as always, you are watching Sirimbale's Boxing and Pro Wrestling channel. Vinaka and Tofa Soifua.